Over to
Great,
you.
thank you very much, and welcome everybody. It's an honor to be back here at Beaver Creek after about 3 years. For those of you who don't know about Coppernico Metals, we were spun out of a company called Orin Resources, where we spent over $100 million looking for top 10 mines around the world. There was a specific flagship asset called Sombrero that really drove that company's success and all the capital raising, but we weren't able to get access to it for about 9 years. So that's nearly half my career waiting for the project that's the flagship of Coppernico Metals. We recently started trading on the TSX under the symbol COPR, and we recently started drilling. And on that note, I'm going to caution you with my forward-looking statements as I'm going to talk a little bit about the pending drill results as well as the ramifications if a discovery is made here. And I'd encourage you to go to our website and view all of our current disclosures. So what we're doing as a junior is we're exploring for major copper discoveries in Peru. Major is a key word here in size. We're trying to extend a world-class copper district where some of the world's larger copper mines occur. The direct analog that we're exploring right now is Las Bambas. It's got several features that are directly analogous to Las Bambas, as well as a lot of known history of Las Bambas, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But the key to this region really came through the communities, and we were able to build a long, sustainable relationship over 9 years to get access to the property, and we're the first ever to drill it targeting copper, which is really exciting for us. In the last 10 months, we've had some amazing achievements for the current market conditions and for a project of this magnitude. We were able to get social access late November. This followed with the appointment of 2 senior executives from BHP to the board, including Keenan Jennings, the former VP of exploration for BHP. This led to a financing for $19.4 million, which involved Teck Resources, which they bought 9.9% of the company as a strategic investor into the opportunity. And those are all the hallmarks and the valuations or independent things you'd look for to quantify the large swing trying to find the world's next Las Bambas. We're currently drilling and we're funded into March 2026. We have 30 holes paid for in that budget, and I'll show you where some of those holes are going in just a moment. By reputation, we've done this before. We've been part of significant discoveries. We've monetized those very well. We had a discovery go from 10 cents to $9 per share. It's a producing mine today. We sold a discovery to Agnico Eagle back in 2014, which rewarded shareholders very well. And then we were able to track some of the best talent we could in the world at the management level, which is led by Tim Kingsley and Christian Rios, my 2 partners in terms of VP of Exploration and SVP of Corporate Development. 2 people added to our board. Keenan Jennings, he pursued us with BHP for about 5 years. He retired before we got social access. He actually mapped Las Bambas back in 2001. So he had a lot of familiarity in the region. And coming from that senior level, being on our board level, was a massive compliment to our exploration team. MJ McQuay was involved. She was in the operational aspects as a senior executive for BHP in the building of mines and improving efficiencies of them. That gives us a chance to think technically, strategically, as well as long-term thinking for the potential production scenarios and the shortcuts we'll want to take in terms of preparing this to be a very high-value exploration discovery. Our technical team is led by Tim Kingsley. He's been in the business over 15 years, lived in Peru, speaks fluent Spanish, has worked and lived in Peru, so he's got a lot of experience in country. He's accompanied by Christian Rios, who's also worked with David Lowell as a great geologist, but he was the key to unlocking all of our avenues through permitting and through the communities in Peru. At the board level, but also in our technical committee, we have the inclusion of Antonio Ribas, who is the VP of Geosciences for BHP, as well as Keenan. So we have a pretty unique caliber of exploration ability at the board level, as well as at the management team. So the exciting part is the project, and this is a map here showing the Andahuaylas-Yari belt with a lot of famous mines such as Las Bambas, Tintaya, Anticapai, and so on. The theory here, and we all know sombrero means Spanish, it means hat in Spanish, was that the western side of the belt was covered by volcanics, and what you couldn't see may not be there. But in the case of Sombrero, a Peruvian junior by the name of Alturas Minerals identified that some of the similar rocks are peeking through an erosional window, supporting the thesis that we might be looking at the same type of mineralized events as occur on the right side. The government had mapped this originally as Miocene. That would be a much younger age. All the mines on the right are Eocene. And as far as Sombrero goes, we've had several age dating events on mineralized skarns and intrusions that indicate we're also Eocene. So we think we're extending a world-class copper belt in southern Peru. This is an image showing you what we first saw when we got here. We saw incredible grades and skarn outcropping, but most importantly, we saw the magic Ferrobamba limestone, which is part of all those major mines next door. The history here is on the slide. I won't go through all of it, but an iron ore company came in here looking for iron ore. They drilled it in 2013, and they left the project or abandoned exploring it further because they saw the presence of copper in their drill holes. However, we were the first to assay those for copper extensively. We stepped foot on this project in 2015. We worked on it for 5 years. We were about to get our final social access to a drill permit, and we ran into COVID, which unfortunately was very sad and challenging for the communities in the Andes. We were very supportive. We brought in agricultural programs that established a long-term sustainable footprint locally, and that led to us getting the social access permit in November, and now we're drilling as we speak here today. Here's a zoom in to our cluster that we're exploring in the first part of our property. This is about 8% of our entire land position. You see a cluster of intrusions on the left. These are identified by outcropping and skarn as well as intrusive bodies that are covered by a plethora of volcanic cover, which is generally thin in nature from a few meters to 40 meters thick, but it's kind of masking the opportunity but giving us enough to explore and be excited about. On the right, you're seeing a strat column or a stratigraphy column. Of all the mines next door, we've listed them on the far right. They're in the same stratigraphy column as we're exploring. We've got a mineralized intrusion interacting with the famous Ferrobamba limestone, which is the key limestone unit making up most of those discoveries or those mines next door, as well as we have sedimentary units that are also mineralized, giving us an array of targets to go after in these 3 big clusters. This is a map in the same scale showing Las Bambas on the right, us on the left. There's a couple things to take away. First off is the scale of our mineralized intrusions in comparison to theirs, and also the amount of volcanic cover that we have in relation to how little they have. So obviously this discovery was not just protected by social axis, it was protected by volcanic cover, and it took a lot of foresight and perseverance to look through this and see if the opportunity could really exist. About 7 kilometers north of where we're drilling, this is a Mother Nature's cheat sheet. It's a 3D model, essentially by a 400-meter deep canyon. You see a beautiful skarn body with the limestone on the right and the intrusion on the left. It's highly mineralized. There's some mining adits halfway down that cliff, about 200 meters down that cliff. We've observed bornite at the bottom, 400 meters down, so we know the mineralization extends to 400 meters in depth, and our current drilling would indicate that that depth of mineralization should be consistent in other parts of the project as well. But what I want you to take away is how thin that volcanic cover is at the top, and a bit of the seepage of grade that you're seeing on top of it. If that cliff wasn't there, you probably would have walked right over this and not thought to explore for that beautiful skarn body. This is the 3rd cluster that we'll test, but we're not currently testing, just giving you an idea of what the model looks like. There's been some very impressive trenches at an area called Furasso. Furasso is on the right-hand side of the image where the yellow meets the purple, where the 230 meters of 0.47 copper was channel sampled by ourselves. We've also channel sampled 109 meters of 0.67 on the far west side of this intrusion. Anywhere we had access to outcropping, intrusion, and skarn contacts, we're getting mineralization all around this big intrusive body in the center, and it's surrounded in a sea of Ferrobamba limestone. So it's the exact same model as what you see over on the mines next door, and that's what gives us a lot of confidence that we're exploring a similar type of system. This is some drill hole highlights from the holes that were drilled by Aceros at Arequipa. This gave us confidence in the 3rd dimension. It also gave us perspective on a lot of our geophysics, our mag, and our chargeability. We saw both mineralization in the endoskarn and the oxidized rock, as well as the exoskarn, which are both running in the range of 0.4 to 0.48% copper. And that's spectacular, and you'll see in a moment here with the infrastructure we have and the values that are occurring today in the higher grade potential skarn discoveries, but it would be consistent with a lot of the mines next door that I've referenced. So we have mineralization in the 3rd dimension. We also have extensive strike length, and this is our first of 3 clusters to explore. The horseshoe shape that you see there, that is projecting the contact, the skarn contact between the intrusion and the limestones. As far as the holes on the page, those are where we're drilling. Obviously, current drilling Ojota, that's hole 4, which I'll talk about here in just a moment. But there's several targets, there's about 9 altogether that we're going to go and drill, and each of them hold standalone discovery potential to be meaningful, independent skarn discoveries. It's a very, very big system. It's a very mineralized system. It's a very active hydrothermal system. And in our first holes that we drilled, this is an example of it. Right here in cross-section, we've got a trench of 102 meters or 105 meters of 0.23 on surface. We're drilling towards a plus 20 millivolt chargeability target. And right at the contact where we get into the red, we see the sulfide mineralization jump considerably. So it's right on point, right on model. The implications of this hole for the rest of our targets around our system, This is not the strongest chargeability. This is definitely not the highest grade on the surface. This is just somewhere that was accessible, that had a lot of good geological concepts. But this is a hole that we decided to announce the visuals of yesterday, so we could talk about it here, because it's giving us the confidence that our model and our thesis from a geological perspective is most certainly working. And our thesis that we could be on to something that could lead to something as big as the next Las Bambas is real. This is a picture of our chargeability on the left, our magnetics on the right. We've got over 10 kilometers of overlapping charge and magnetics. There's a lot of magnetite associated with the grade over at Furaso and various targets, as well as considerable chargeability targets too. We are exploring the Cascabamba region, which is labeled by Furaso and Corrales, that first big donut, and that's where we're going to drill all around that rim where we see right now. So no shortage of targets, extremely big in scale. A drill hole pending. We drilled down to about almost 600 meters because of the appeal of the core. So now we'll wait and see assays, but they do change the quality of these geophysics and what they might mean for the rest of our drilling that we're going to do in these first 30 holes. When talking about profitability and skarns in the Andes, you have to look towards infrastructure. This is critical. We've got paved road access. There's high tensile power lines that the government built since we've been here. We've got 2 nearby towns. We've got terrain that's very moderate, 3,900 meters elevation, and multiple water sources nearby for drilling and possibly for a mining scenario. Last few points here. The community has been outstanding. It's a very, very, very interesting region to be in. We broke into the community by bringing agricultural programs called Agradias, that's sponsoring and getting government grants to bring in farming into the Andes where nutrition is a challenge. These are sustainable long after we leave, whether we find something or not. And we have over $4 million of other programs that we're applying for in the same region for not just the community we're in, but the neighboring communities to expand our access to more permits and more targets. We have 177 million shares out. It doesn't trade like that because we have some of the best shareholders in the world. Teck's leading that with a 9.9% interest. Newmont has a 6.25% interest. I've got approximately $6 million invested into this company in 9 years of my life because of how big of this opportunity is and how robust it measures right at surface. We're joined with several other great investors. We do have a new institutional shareholder base that's building, and we're covered by 3L Capital, Stephen Therian, who just came back from site, and he put out a report on us today about his site visit and about his perspectives in the first drill hole. So we're at that exciting stage of the first potential major discovery in southern Peru in a long time. We're on hole 5. Hole 4 is pending assay, as well as the first 3 holes that'll be out in October. Results are going to be our catalyst for everybody here. We can tell you with very, very big confidence that the actual geological thesis is supported by what we've seen in the first drill holes, and it's made the rest of our targets even better and more probable than they thought they were originally. The strength of relationship with the communities is also there. And lastly, equally to a discovery in this current market condition, we are extremely well financed. We have capital into 2026. We have great financial partners, and we have numerous drill results pending over the next 12 months. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.